football a Turca, and Happy New Year, I should say. We were expecting to record a little bit earlier this week, but due to the holidays and the schedules not aligning, we didn't manage to get another episode out before the New Year. So when you will be listening to this, it will be the 3rd or the 4th of January already, or maybe later because you're slow. Not in the head, but, you know. So Happy New Year from all of us here at Football a Turca. My name is Kaan Bayazit. I'm joined today by UMut, Naderi and Yakup Marufoglu because our other guys are busy. So we'll have to just do it with the three of us. So Yakup and UMut, thank you very much for not bailing on me this week for this episode.
We always got you, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so no Fenerbahce representative, but we have a Trabzonsporlu, so that should be fine, right?
Yeah.
And there's
The
plenty to
perfect
talk.
amount.
Yeah, and there's not that much to talk about when it comes to Fenerbahce. I think most of the stuff we'll be focusing about is the odd situation at Trabzonspor that we'll get to a little bit later. But we are going to do stuff a little bit different. I'm going to quickly run down the results of matchday 17 with goal scores, red cards, stuff like that. Afterwards, Yakup, UMut and I will pick out some moments that really jumped out to us this match day. We're going to look back at the previous 17 match days, pretty much in the sense of the first half of the season in general, what surprised us, what didn't surprise us, what do we think of the current standings up top, what do we think of the standings at the bottom, and just giving a little bit of first half of the season review. And then we're going to go over the standings, and we're going to go over the goal score and assist standings as well. And then next week, we will be talking about our team of the decade because, of course, we're now in a new decade, 2020. The 2010s are now firmly behind us. So we can actually talk about our team of the decade, players of the decade, goalkeeper, striker, midfielder, defender. So stuff we're going to be talking about next week. Hopefully, we'll have Burak and Özer with us for that. But for this week, we're just going to focus on the first half of the season quickly. And then, of course, the final match day in the Super League 2019-2020. So let's get started on Friday. Beşiktaş played against Gençlerbirliği at Vodafone Park. This match ended 4-1. But was mainly also one of the highlights of the match, I should say, were the two red cards that Gençlerbirliği received in the 11th minute. Naderi saw two yellow cards in quick... Well, actually, I think he got a yellow card and then a direct red. So he got sent off after just 11 minutes.
I think he got sent off from the second yellow. Isn't it that way?
I think Fırat Aydınus immediately
No,
pulled
I
the
think he got it.
red...
Yeah, I think he also pulled the red immediately.
Yeah, he got a yellow first for complaining, and then he walked away and he was still talking, I think, and then he got a direct red, I think. I guess he must have sworn. I thought it was a very, very harsh decision. But so Naderi got sent off in the 11th minute. Floyd Ayite put Gençlerbirliği 1-0 up though in the 23rd minute. Then Yasin Pelivan got sent off in the 36th minute. He initially got a yellow card, but after a VAR review, he got a direct red card. That was also, I think, a correct decision. I didn't agree so much on the first red, but this one, this was just a poor tackle. Then Domagoj Vida equalized in the 49th minute. Then George Kevin Kudu put Beşiktaş 2-1 up in the 60th minute. This is a very nice goal that you should go out of your way and watch if you haven't seen it already. Then Oğuzhan Özyakup scored the 3-1 in the 74th minute. And Atiba Hutchinson scored the 4th goal to make it 4-1 in the first minute of stoppage time. Atiba also got 3 assists in this match, so he got 3 assists and the goal. That's something I don't think he will probably have ever done before in his professional career. We'll get a little bit more on this later, but let's head over straight onto the Saturday results. Ankaragücü hosting the Denizlispor here, and this ended in another 2-2 draw. That's the 3rd time in a row now that Ankaragücü have drawn 2-2. And I also believe it is the 3rd time in a row that they have come back from being 2-0 down. But I could be mistaken in that. Either way, Modu Baro for Denizlispor, the guy that's been making the nice weather, so to speak, for Denizlispor over the first half of the season. We've praised him multiple times on the podcast here. He got sent off with a direct red card in the 10th minute for a high boot. which connected to the Ankaragücü player. I thought it was a little harsh. Reminded me a little bit of a red card that Ryan Babel got when he was still playing for Beşiktaş against Sterling a couple of years ago. I just thought this was a little harsh, but he got sent off after 10 minutes. But despite that, Mustafa Yumlu put Denizlispor 1-0 up in the 22nd minute off of a corner from, I'm blanking on his name, former Trabzonspor player.
Zeki
Yavru, yeah. And then again, another corner from Zeki Yavru in the first minute of first half stoppage time. Hugo Rodallega getting the goal there. 2-0 at half time for Denizlispor. Ankaragücü bombarded Denizlispor's goal in the second half and did get a goal in the 66th minute through Oscar Scarione. A very nice individual effort, which kind of reminisces us a little bit of the Scarione we saw 4 or 5 years ago playing for Kasımpaşa when he was one of the better attacking midfielders in the league, but we haven't really seen much of that in the last 3 seasons of him since he returned to Turkey from his 1-year stint in Israel. But then he scores again in the 84th minute to make it 2-2 from the edge of the area. Another very nice goal from Oscar Scarione, making it 2-2. Ankaragücü even almost got close to the win late on, but couldn't get those 3 points. But they came back from another 2-0 deficit and get another 2-2 draw, and an important point for them. Moving on to Trabzonspor Kayserispor. This was a spectacular game with 8 goals. Trabzonspor winning by 6-2. A very impressive display from Trabzonspor, this was pretty much all one-way traffic. And excuse me, Kayserispor just stuck their nose at the window, I think like twice, and managed to get a goal twice. But Alexander Sørloth opening the scoreline here in the 7th minute. But I think Trabzonspor already had 1 or 2 chances even before that. Then they had a bunch of more chances but couldn't score. But then Nwakaeme in the 37th minute made it 2-0 with a very nice goal from the edge of the area. Then Ömer Uzun pulls one back for Kayserispor in the 43rd minute. In the 47th minute, Daniel Sturridge makes it 3-1 after a very nice assist from Alexander Sørloth. Then in the 66th minute, Daniel Sturridge converted a spot kick to make it 4-1. In the 71st minute, Abdulkadir Parmak scored the 5-1 on his birthday. Then Artem Krevets pulled one back in the 82nd minute. And in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, Alexander Sørloth put the 6-2 full-time scoreline on the scoreboard to give Trabzonspor an emphatic 6-2 win. Then moving on to the next match, Başakşehir beating Kasımpaşa 5-1. This was a real trashing after just 2 minutes. Then Baba made it 1-0. Enzo Crivelli made it 2-0 after 6 minutes. Then after 26 minutes, Jorge Fernandez scored an own goal, making it 3-0. Then Baba again just 2 minutes later, making it 4-0, his brace. Then it took a while until the 63rd minute for Elia to score and make it 5-0. I believe that he had already scored a goal before that, but it was ruled offside. And then Ricardo Quaresma converted a penalty in the 66th minute to put the full-time scoreline on the scoreboard, making it 5-1, a very easy win for Başakşehir. Moving on then, Galatasaray also got a very easy win at home against Antalyaspor. The goals here coming from Radamel Falcao in the 10th minute to make it 1-0. Then again, this was from a penalty, mind you. Then again, Radamel Falcao in the 28th minute to make it 2-0. Then Ondrej Šeluška scored an own goal in the 37th minute. Then Ryan Babel scored the 4th one in the 82nd minute, so it took a while before that 4th one went in. And then Taylan Altalyale scored the 5th in the 89th minute. Taylan had also won the penalty, and he also forced the own goal pretty much, so he had a very good game. His first start, I think, in the league for Galatasaray, so a very good full-fledged debut for him. 5-0 full-time scoreline for Galatasaray. Then moving on to Sunday, Sivasspor, the league leaders, beating Göztepe with a 1-0 margin through Mustafa Yatabare goal in the 66th minute. This was another very well-crafted goal. Fatih plays it through Fatih Aksoy for Besiktas fans, they will maybe be interested in that. He plays it through to Aruna Kone, who then squares it to Mustafa Yatabari. It was a very nice attack. You should go and check that out. It was the only goal of the match to secure the 3 points for Sivasspor. Then moving on to Alanyaspor Konyaspor, this match ending 2-1. Erdon Dace scored the 1-0 for Konyaspor in the 8th minute, but Papi Cisse equalized in the 35th minute before again scoring in the 95th minute, so the 5th minute of second half stoppage time. He put the 2-1 scoreline on the scoreboard. And I do think that are his first 2 goals in quite a while, but that keeps him in contention. For that top scorer spot. Then moving on to Gaziantep Malatyaspor, this match ending 1-1. Kayode scoring in the 21st minute to make it 1-0. Guray Vural got sent off in the 48th minute with a second yellow card after he had already seen a yellow in the 33rd minute. Then Adis Jahovic got a direct red card in the 53rd minute. I thought that was quite harsh. I didn't really see him do much wrong. Kind of brushed up against somebody, but yeah, I don't know. We'll get to that in a little bit. Thierry Bufuma scored the equalizer though in the 78th minute to salvage a point from Malatyaspor. This match ending 1-1. Then the final match of match day 17, Rizespor Fenerbahce. This match ending 1-2. Denis Turuc had put Fenerbahce ahead in the 13th minute from a free kick before Aberun had equalized in the 18th minute, just 5 minutes later. Then it took quite a while before Fenerbahce found that delivering goal in the 70th minute through Jalson, a very long-range shot where the goalkeeper didn't look too good, to be fair. That one secured the 3 points for Fenerbahce, and a 2-1 win on the road against Rizespor. So let's just dig into this, guys. Yakup, I'm going to go to you first. Besides, of course, the Trabzonspor match, what jumped out to you this match day for match day 16?
Not a lot score-wise, to be honest, but a lot of individual performances. I'm happy to see that Thailand is actually having some minutes with Galatasaray. He's a player that I really wanted at Trabzonspor, and of the big 4 teams, Trabzonspor is the only one that is really, not to say the only one because it's going to be really controversial. Is one of the biggest ones that is, youth minded. So when he went to Galatasaray and
I don't think that's controversial, if I'm honest. I mean,
I don't.
It's not controversial. You can't say that Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, or Besiktas are youth minded. I think.
Yeah, but every time I talk about youth, you bring up players. UMut doesn't, but you bring up players. So I was a little bit nervous about him going there because with the midfield that Galatasaray already has, it's difficult for him to shine. But it was nice to see him play. I think he was on the score sheet. I think he also had an assist. So that's great to see.
Mm-hmm.
I thought a little bit. I saw a little bit of the Çaykur game. It's nice to see. I don't really have a lot of players, but from Fenerbahce, in which I think, okay, that one is a good player. I'm thinking more about youth players, but Ferdi Kadıoğlu isn't playing a lot. It was nice to see Denis Turuc get on the score sheet. I think he's undervalued a bit. I don't think he's the best player that there is, but he, as you can see, is pretty valuable for Fenerbahce every so and so games. The Denizlispor game with Zeki Yavru, I remember his time at Trabzonspor.
Mm-hmm.
During all those years that he played with us, he had like one good cross in his life, like really just one. And then he goes out and first of all, he crosses the ball for the first goal. It wasn't a corner kick, and it was a fucking.
Oh, wasn't it?
No, it was a cross to Mustafa Yumlu, from all people.
Yeah. I know Mustafa Yumlu well. I remember him riding Fabian Ernst's neck to score the 1-0.
1-0. Great game.
Yeah. Total fall.
So that was weird to see. And then he went and fucking did it again. It's like winning the lottery like twice in a row. So it's really weird to see. It was nice to see Scarione still play pretty good football.
Yeah, actually, I had a Beşiktaşlı friend of mine saying that we should get him, and he said it with a straight face, like he meant it, and he defended it. Like he's still defending it. Like 3 days later now, he's still standing by that, and he means it. Like we should get him. Like, and I'm like, dude, this guy hasn't done anything in 3 years. Literally, he's not done anything in 3 years.
When he was playing with Kasımpaşa, he was really one of my favorite players in the league.
Great,
he was really good, but you know, he's like 34 at the moment.
I mean, if you would have gotten him back then, that would have been totally understandable because he was like their best player, and that's not just. I mean, they had Ryan Babel back then, and they had quite a few good players back then, and he was their star. You know, they had Andre Castro, they had Ryan Babel, they had Adam Bug, they had.
Ryan Donk,
yeah. Half of Galatasaray, you know, and he was their best player. But that's 5 years ago, and then he went on to I think he went to Israel. That didn't go great for him. He came back. I think he went back to Göztepe at first, and that didn't really go great. And then Ankaragücü, I don't know if he's not been playing because he hasn't been getting paid or whatever it is. Because he did look. I mean, if you look at his first goal here, that was not something a guy that's completely over the hill would still be able of doing, but still, I mean, 3 years and he's barely done anything. It's and he's 34 years old, so yeah, you know, like 5 years ago, if you would have gotten them then, definitely, but I don't think that Beşiktaş should be looking at these types of players now. And that's my friend said it with such a straight face, and he's still holding on to it, and I'm like, oh my god, I just want to. You know?
I mean, if you look at what Atiba did this weekend, like last weekend,
but he performs week in, week out. So
I know. Atiba is one of my favorite players in the league, but maybe he's thinking like, you know, he's old as balls. You know, he is old as balls. Maybe they together, maybe a good thing. I don't know. In my opinion, like easily the player of the week, player of match week 17 is Atiba. He had 1 goal, 3 assists at that age. It's just a wonderful performance.
9 men though. I think that deserves a little bit of an asterisk.
I mean, still.
Yeah. Of course, you still have to do it, but yeah. I mean, it's like I said. I don't think you're gonna see that from Atiba too often. But it's funny because he's been playing for Beşiktaş now for I think 7 years or 6 or 7 years, and in the first couple of years he rarely even scored, and this year and last year I think last year he had like 3 or 4 goals. This season he's already on like 3 or 4, and then he gets 3 assists in a game. I mean, this guy starts producing the older he gets. It's ridiculous.
It's probably like, damn it, I have to do everything around here.
Yeah. Anything else that you really want to talk about before I start grilling you? I'll do that after I
we can talk about the Trabzonspor issues, but let's do that.
We'll do that afterwards. Because that's gonna take up some time. Umut, your highlights for the match day.
Well, I really like to watch Taylan Antalya, and I've been asking the question: how that kind of a guy with this quality just benched for like weeks, and Fatih didn't like even thinking about playing him. And his first match, he just started it, and he just he was just incredible.
Running rampant, I think.
Even though Antalya is like just in a bad shape, you know, they started the game with a 5-player defense, and it was like, I don't know what was Stephen Thomas was thinking of. Really bad tactic to get into, and he didn't even have the chances to create an attack because Blanco was all alone on the forward.
Mm-hmm. But don't you think it's one of those cases where I think they started off well the first couple of minutes, and then they just got hit by that penalty after 10 minutes.
I have to criticize Galatasaray for this because the pitch was awful, you know. Mm-hmm. Even though it was raining really harsh, but you shouldn't be seeing that kind of a pitch wear in a big club's turf, you know. You shouldn't be seeing it, you know. You see that every other day in Premier League. There is a rain every single day, and they don't even experience this kind of issues. But whenever it rains heavily down in Istanbul, it's just nightmare for the teams. And I don't even say about these issues back in the Anatolian teams. The weather condition in the cities where they have bad weather conditions, it's just awful, and you don't want to watch those games.
But isn't it just the clubs cheaping out on the maintenance? Really,
it can be both, because they sometimes buy the cheap wear. Sometimes they don't do the maintenance regularly.
Proper maintenance, I think, in a season, I believe. Last season, Beşiktaş had really poor pitch conditions too, and then it came out after a while. It came out that they actually stopped using the firm that
also, don't
they
you
installed
think
the hybrid pitch?
Yeah, I know the hybrid,
and that cost like 200,000 euros a year or something, and they just.
But don't you think the rain is just going onto the drain system and after the drainage system is installed properly, the water just has to go under the turf, and shouldn't the players use it normally, just a regular turf? But the water wasn't going anywhere during the game. It was just. On the grasses, and the ball was just splashing into it. There was one position where
if the rainfall is heavy, there's no way you can get rid of the rain. Then it depends on how much rain is coming down on a square meter, or cubic meter.
And this is one of the main issues, because it was like, I think it's been 10 years. The arena has been built.
2012, I think, right?
Yeah, it was opened that time, but no, it was opened at 2011. In a game where Servet Çetin scored the first goal of the history of the arena. But it was.
I prefer having Mario Gomez score the first goal.
Definitely. Also, they were talking about this kind of the roof top that was being the
roof.
closing roof mentioning thing, but what about it? They forgot about it.
So much costs.
Yeah, it might be, but that actually be useful. That could actually be useful for these kind of circumstances, because this actually ruins the game as well, and the efforts go useless, because there's one position where Falcao tried to chip the keeper, but as the ball was slippery and the grass was as well, and he failed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The guy couldn't even do something like that. It was an awful game to watch, even though we won like 5-0, but it wasn't a good game to watch.
What about other highlights from other games?
Yeah, I liked Dindjer's free kick, because I've been watching him for like 3 years. I know you've been watching him more than I do, like longer than I do.
What did you think of the wall from Rizespor? I thought the wall was in a weird position, quite frankly.
As it's in a very close range, because it was like in a 18 meters something from a central area. So either way, it's gonna be a dangerous position. Like if you don't just put your 10 teammates on the wall, you have to also take the other guys who are waiting on the side, waiting for a pass to just score it. And then is also Turkish. I was actually expecting him to put it on the empty side of the net, but he went for the keeper side and scored it
because of the wall.
Yeah.
Then the goalkeeper sees it coming a little bit too late, and then he's fooled. So
but it was the thing. Keeper makes the walls,
of course.
Gökhan Akkan was
that
not
was going to be my next question. What did you think of Gökhan Akkan's performance? Because he's one of my favorite goalkeepers in the league, but I thought this
was a good keeper, but he wasn't on his best day, you know, and the goal he conceded from Jailson, you know, it was I don't know what can you tell about that? You know, it was like 35 meters or something, and when you look at the goal from the behind angle, you can see his positioning is awful. You know, he's on the right side of the goal, where the opposite of the direction where the ball was hit from Jailson. So it was, I don't know.
Yeah, not a good day for him.
Yeah. Also, I was really happy that Dindjer scored a goal from cricket, because he couldn't take the chance because of the captain Emre and Max Kruse's takes, and he was the third option every other day, but none of them were on the field that time, so he took it and scored it, and I was happy.
Wasn't Kruse on the field?
I don't think so. I might be mistaken as well.
It's been a while now, so it's been almost a week. We were a little late with this episode.
Emre, also, Emre Belözoğlu got in a late time in the game, and he played really bad actually, because the passes you just expect him to hit and he missed them all. You know, it was, I don't know. It was a weird game for Emre Belözoğlu. So. Another highlight, as you mentioned, Atiba Hutchinson's perfect game. You know, 2 assists and a goal.
3 assists.
3 assists, 3 assists and a goal. Yeah, it was great. And the other one could be Trabzonspor's 6-goal win, where Alexander Sørloth scored great goals and missed more of them. You know,
he missed a couple. It's a great assist too. I really liked his assist to Sturridge. He did everything a big guy up top should do there. It was really nice.
And the also the biggest occasion in the week is the Sivasspor's leadership in the league, and how they get into the 2020s and as a leader in the league.
They immediately have to start 2020 up against Beşiktaş on the opening match day in the league in Vodafone Park, so that's going to be interesting too. But let's quickly dive into a couple of my notes here. What did you guys think of the red cards of this match day? Because there was a couple that really, for me, seemed a little dodgy. Let's start off with the first one, Naderi Çiftçi. What did you guys think of his red card? Umut, I'll start with you.
Okay. As you know, Naderi Çiftçi is a guy from overseas. You know, I don't think he had a good communication with Fırat Aydınus, like some kind of lack of communication between them. So that kind of could have gone bad around them, because I don't know how a player constantly argues to the ref after having been booked. You know.
Well, I think it was understandable, because I think he got fouled, to be honest.
Everybody fouled. You know,
it was a high boot from behind under his arm or something from Vida, and he got the foul against. So he was, I think, understandably upset. Then he gets booked.
But everybody gets fouled, you know, and everybody just wants their own right.
But what did he even do? I mean, all I could see was he was running off. And maybe he said something, but I can't imagine Fırat Aydınus heard what he said. So what?
He also could have tell a bad word without knowing it's that bad, because he's Englishman or Irish.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Scottish, I think.
He's Scottish.
He's actually Dutch.
Oh,
he's
is he?
Born in Den Haag.
But he played for Celtic, right? And he played for
he played for
Aberdeen,
Dundee, for Celtic.
Or Dundee, okay. Right. So, Yakup, what did you think of this red card?
I mean, I thought it was stupid by both Naderi Çiftçi and Fırat Aydınus.
Yeah. And that's really something I dislike about Fırat Aydınus, is this. He has this air about him, like...
He's a showman.
He is. And sometimes he just decides to make an example out of players. And this is the 11th minute of a match. I don't think you need to do that. It wasn't... I mean... If it's a red card, it's a red card. But this, to me, I think in the spirit of the game, I don't know what he said. Look, maybe he said something really bad, but I couldn't honestly tell if he was saying something bad because he had turned his back. I think he was running away. I don't know.
I mean, you can see him after the challenge, which I think was a foul against them. So I think no, I don't think that Vida should have gotten a yellow, but it should have been a foul for against Irbili.
Yeah, great.
And then he walks up to him and he points at his face, like I think he says, like I got hit in the face. Don't you see it? And then he makes like a el kol hareketi, so to say, and that's when he first gets his yellow.
Yeah.
But he just keeps going on and on and on, and he must have said something really bad because I don't know because Firat Aydınus, as you said and as I said,
we've seen it before with Aydınus that he.
I don't like him as a ref. He's big games in Istanbul. He pretty much always does this shit. So he might have said pretty much nothing, and this happened, or he could have said something really bad. So it was a dumb red.
Yeah. Yasin Pelivan's red card. Any objections there, guys? VAR overturned it.
I think it's correct.
Yeah.
Then let's move on to the Ankara Denizli Spor match. There was not a red card here. I thought this was pretty harsh too. Modo Baro getting sent off in the 10th minute. It was a high boot. I guess he made contact with the studs, but is it a red card for you guys? Yakup, what did you think?
I mean, he did pretty much get him in the face, like a Badrari kick. So I can understand why it's so red. It was a really dumb challenge by him. As you said in the beginning, we on the podcast have been a big fan of his. So I don't know where this came from, but he didn't get him in the face, but he pretty much squarely got him on the arm.
On the arm, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe because he got him on the arm, this should have been a yellow. But
I mean, if it's the face, okay, but the arm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's first of all, why that kind of play? It's really dumb play for how early it was. He got a red card in the 10th minute.
Yeah, but I think you see these kinds of positions very often, and then so often they don't get direct reds, and then sometimes they do. I find that very inconsistent. And like Burak would say, we want consistency in these sorts of decisions. And I remember, like I said, Ryan Babel getting sent off for something like that last 2 seasons ago or something against Sterberli, and then you see the exact same thing happen in another match like the same week or the week after, and it's a yellow or it's not even anything. And I don't know. I feel like this isn't a malicious tackle. It's maybe a little reckless, but I don't know.
I mean, it really looks like he's kicking the guy into the pit from 300. It looks really bad. Let me say it like that.
What did you think, Umut? Was it a correct decision to give him red?
The thing I think is you cannot not send this guy off. As Yakup said, it's like a karate kick, like a Tekken kick. High kick, a jump kick, whatever. But
didn't we see Luyendama do that and then get a yellow or something?
Luyendama was sent off for that.
Oh, okay.
Also, you see this touch, just touching his arm, so it was just like Nani's thing against Real Madrid like years ago, where Cüneyt Çakır was the ref. So you cannot say that he's in a good intent.
What did you think of Guray Vural's 2 yellows for Gaziantep against Malatyaspor?
I haven't seen them.
Yakup, did you catch those? I felt like they were. The second one was kind of like, oh, okay, that's pretty quick.
That was pretty much the only game that I didn't watch, to be honest.
Well, come on, guys. The Adis Yahovic one is seriously. I really wanted to get into that one because that just felt weird.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it right now, so just come back to me in like 2 minutes.
Okay. Okay, anything else that jumps out to you, Umut? What did you think of the goal of the week? Which was the best goal for you?
Jailson, probably,
Really? Even if the goalkeeper makes such a mistake?
You have to hit the target as well.
From the... Yeah, but I think
it could be which one? I don't know. That's a hard question you have in there. Yeah.
You are not prepared.
Yeah.
I am prepared, but this kind of I could say as the meaning of the goal is the Alliance
Just the
Sports last minute winner.
most beautiful goal, best crafted goal.
Yeah, it could be Alliance Sports last minute winner against Konyaspor.
That was a good goal, definitely. Yakup, what was your goal of the week?
I got a couple. It probably is Nkudu's goal, which was really, really beautiful. Nkudu or Diaby? Nkudu, isn't it?
Yeah, it was Nkudu, yeah.
That one was really great. Scariona had a good goal.
You're a sucker for a lob too, then?
Yeah, I wrote in my notes. Just let me get my notes. There
was this...
what a great goal by Nkudu, Fatih Tekke-esque. Because I remember Fatih Tekke doing this a lot. So I really like that.
As a goal preparation, I could say as last year's similar, where Musa Charan hit a 50-meter through high ball to Cisse. This time it was Ömer Bayram to Ryan Babel.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
You know, as I was on the game, I also witnessed that as Ryan Babel came in when he was substituted in. As he came in, it was an offside ball, and Ryan Dong was taking it. And as Ryan Babel was coming in, he just started to run, and he had that kind of communication with Ryan Dong, you know, from an instinct, and they were prepared for it. And Ryan Dong hit a high through ball to Ryan Babel, and he just missed the goal from down there. You know, they both know what they were like looking for, and even if they couldn't do it, it was fascinating to watch. Like, it was psychic, you know.
Like, I don't know.
Them being in the same exact mindset at the same moment.
They know each other for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
With Kasım Pasha and and they
Ryan
friends.
So Ryan Dong down there waited for him to just come in and started to run. It was exciting to watch.
What did you think of the red card for Adis Jahovic, Yakup?
I just saw it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I know, right?
I think that the referee got, the Gaziantep players got into his mind because, he just walks up and Diarra, I think, just falls down for some reason.
There's like a little, like he brushes up to him a little bit, but he's not like intending to push him or anything.
He extends his arm maybe like a millimeter. But
he's actually going in there to separate players. So
they just used those.
VAR overrule this?
I think VAR could, but they didn't. But they should have. I think.
Wow, this looks really dumb. I also saw the positions of Güray Vural.
Harsh, right?
Also, by watching some different angle of this Adis Jahovic red card, that was just it's not a slow motion. That he has some kind of a bad intent in there because he just hits him with his left elbow.
Yeah, but he's not. He's just like, move aside a little bit. It's not like.
Yeah, but he's a strong guy.
Diarra is selling it like he's Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, but also hate that the players using that kind of intent to just fall around and whine for a card.
Remember a couple of weeks ago, I made this plea for, look, if a guy tries to get another guy sent off with blatant theater, they should get sent off. I think that should be a new implementation with VAR. If a guy clearly is trying to get another guy sent off like that, they should just get sent off themselves and suspended for 5 games. Get this shit out of football. It's ridiculous. I mean, this was not as blatant as we've seen in the past, but yeah. I mean,
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. I guess. For me, goal of the week also Nkudu, but that's just I'm partial, of course, but I love a lobbed goal because it's not easy. Because I mean, remember Negredo against Galatasaray 2 years ago? It's not easy. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like we saw a lot more of those goals in the 2000s. Like I remember Murat Hacıoğlu scoring quite a few of those. Like you said, Fatih Tekke. I mean, these types of lobbed goals is just seems to happen less.
You
and
know,
less.
when he was in Trabzonspor, Umut was a master of that kind of goals. You know, he has like
Was
too
Umut
many
ever
of
a
them.
master of anything?
When he was,
Master of being inconsistent.
yeah, could be. He has some good goals. You know,
You remember that goal from Pascal Numa against Dynamo Kiev?
Leeds, no,
No. The lob from like 22 meters, 25 meters, 24
wasn't
meters.
it against
something like that.
Leeds?
No. Against Dynamo Kiev in the
Oh.
UEFA Cup. It was a really good lob goal. I remember that goal like made such an impact on me. I used to try it every training when we were like free for all shooting, and I actually managed to pull it off consistently at a certain point. But I never got the opportunity to do it in a match, unfortunately. But I think my adoration or my love for the lobbed goal kind of stems from there, because I know how much effort it requires to master that. It's not easy. But once you get it, it's like a feel thing, you know. It's I don't know.
I mean, it's so graceful, you know. I remember Cantona's one that just hits the post perfectly, and he just flips the collar of his shirt, and you have Totti has some goals that go in like that.
That celebration.
Yeah,
But then with those
great to
guys,
see.
you know, it's like they know what they're doing. With Nkudu, I still kind of wonder, like, okay, is this maybe just a lucky shot? Although I have to say, like, in the beginning of the season when he first played for Besiktas, I often had the feeling like, okay, you know what, this guy, he has a lot of speed, he's got some skill on the ball, but that's pretty much it. Like, he kind of feels like a headless chicken. But as the season has progressed and as he's been playing a little bit more and he's gotten some injuries, unfortunately, that have halted his progression or whatever you can call it. But I've started seeing a little bit more of an intelligence in this game. It's not just trying to create chaos by doing random stuff. Like, there seems to be a method to his madness, and sometimes I'm starting to see some stuff I really like. And he's right-footed, and a friend of mine earlier made the point, like, he's most of the time he plays on the left, and one of the perhaps negatives of him is that when he's on the left, he has that pace, but he always has to cut to his right foot when he tries to go in for the cross, if he wants to have a good cross delivered in. So maybe putting him on the right would be a better idea for Abdullah Avci in the second half of the season. He also scored his goal from playing on the right. I don't know, like, he's right-footed, and if this goal is something he can repeat, if his finishing from this side of the pitch is going to be better, maybe he should permanently play on the right sides. Because, I don't know, what do you think? Is this something he could repeat, or is it just a little bit, he just got lucky there? Sometimes you just hit the ball well, and you can tie it 10 more times, and you won't get it a single time. You won't get it right a single time.
I mean, I always think that players like Nkudu, pretty good dribblers, always do pretty well in Turkey, you know. It kind of feels like when, that part of Dragon Ball Z when they go into the hyperbolic time chamber and they drop all the weights and they come back like really stronger. It always feels like that when they play in Turkey, you know. So I think
that's going to go over so many people's heads right now. You know, you're talking about when Goku and Gohan go into the
right. So
right. With Mr. Popo.
I think that that players like Nkudu, a player that I really expected to do this was Başacıoğlu. I've seen it in Elia. You know, the players that are really good with the ball on their feet, they can make the difference in Turkey because of the difference, just how much better they are in dribbling. You know, so as I said a couple of times, I think that Nkudu is a really good player, especially for the Turkish league. It's just that, you know, still, even though they won this game pretty good, there's still some cracks in the foundation of your guys' attacking force, and we talked about it.
Some cracks,
like huge cracks, like the doors have been ripped off and everything.
The vase has fallen on the floor, and it's been half glued back together, and most of it still has to be glued back. It's
hard for players like him to show their quality when it's so shoddy in front.
When it's difficult when you're like the one guy, or like, I think it's the same with Adem Laic. I think it's difficult for him to show his true quality when the people around him, like, you have to keep in mind, Nkudu I think this was like his first start back from his injury. Like, he's only played 340 something minutes in the league this season. That's not a lot. So he's not played too often. I think he's probably Beşiktaş's he's without a shadow of a doubt Beşiktaş's best winger. And then Burak hasn't been doing too well this season due to injury and other stuff. So, yeah, it's difficult to shine when you're dependable on others to shine too.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I don't think Alexander Sørloth would be doing as well as he's doing if he didn't have Nwakaeme, Sosa, Yusuf Sarı, Sturridge, all those guys doing well too. Because they've all had at least, or they are consistently doing well, or they've had really good periods this season, And when you look at Beşiktaş, there's not a single player that you can say, like if you look at the attacking line of Beşiktaş and you compare that to, for example, Trabzonspor, like with Trabzon you have Sørloth, he's been consistent throughout the season. Sturridge, when he plays, he's good. Yusuf Sarı has been pretty good this season. Sosa was really good in the beginning of the season. He had a little bit of an injury and it's a bit of a drop back lately, but that's normal. And then Nwakaeme, I think he's probably the most inconsistent from the guys up top, but he's also had a good season. And then if you just look at Beşiktaş, I mean, who of those guys up top has had a good season so far? Nobody.
I mean, honestly, the thing that differentiates Trabzonspor from you guys is obviously the team has been together for a long time, so they know each other pretty well. But on the other part, what I do like about Trabzonspor this year is that they have a lot of players that can do damage on their own.
Yeah.
They don't need. I mean, I get what you say that without the wingers, that Charlotte probably would have less goals. But you can see every time that he gets the ball and
not just the wingers, just the players around him.
Yeah, I know.
You guys have like 3 or 4 players that can score at any time you feel like.
That's what I like. You don't. Nwakaeme can do something on his own. You have Sørloth take the ball and run like a horse, and he tries to do something on his own. Pretty much all the players don't need the other players. It's good that they have the other players, but they aren't really dependent on them. So I think that's the difference between us and a couple of teams in the league. The problem that you can see at Beşiktaş is, Burak is Burak. You can't really change him. And
I wouldn't even say that. I actually don't think Burak is Burak. I don't recognize him most of the time right now. Like he doesn't feel like the player he was. Like last season, we were praising him in the second half of the season and how good he still is. Right now, for me, Burak kind of feels like that guy that used to be really good, but is now playing. Like Roberto Baggio when he was playing at Brescia. You could still see the brilliance he had when he was playing for Juventus.
You actually reminded me of his goal where the Pirlo gave him the pass, for 50 meters, and he just one-touch dribbled the keeper out and scored the goal. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was his best goal, I think. But you're right that Burak some kind of evolved into a player we couldn't even expect him to be, because if you had asked me 5 years ago if Selçuk or Burak will just last longer on the Turkish football, I would say Selçuk, because he's smart on the field and
he's a passer, and you'd expect
how Emre is right now. I would expect him to be like that kind of player, but right now he's rubbish, and Burak is just evolving into a great player, and who doesn't just rely on his pace.
Now is kind of feeling to me like a shell of his former self, and I didn't have that feeling last season. When he came and he had his first 6 months, I really felt like he was still. I couldn't believe at what level he was still able to perform, and it felt like, okay, maybe he's not the same physical player he was 4 years ago, but he's got experience. He's gotten some other qualities along the way. He's maybe a better player overall, but right now he just feels like that. Like I said, like Roberto Baggio at Brescia, like a guy that, for a team like Brescia, he's still going to be great, but when you're playing at Milan, you need to do it week in, week out. And right now, I just don't have that feeling with Burak. Burak, for me, right now, feels more like a guy that would be a star if he'd play for, I'm going to say something, like Konyaspor, for example. He'd be still a really big star if he'd played there.
Like, would you say Necati Ateş tore on the Anatolian team?
Yeah. For example, that's a good example. Necati went to, I think, Antalya, and then he came back to Galatasaray for a while.
He also played for İBB, which is right now Başakşehir, and he scored really good goals down there.
Yeah, and I think that's like, for example, I was gonna say Başakşehir, but I think Başakşehir right now is kind of a different thing than they would have been a couple of years ago. But I don't know, Burak right now, for me, it just doesn't. You can still see why he is who he is and why he's been so successful as he is. Like, for example, his goal against Konyaspor. And I feel like we've already kind of morphed into our talk on the the first half of the season, but I just really feel like that's one of those things.
Also, Burak being successful on every team he has been in this decade. Would you say he is one of the he's been to Fenerbahce in like 2008 something, not in this decade. He
stopped for okay.
Yeah, so yes. Would you say he's one of the successful players in this decade?
Well, that's something I wanted to talk about mainly next week, but yeah, of course, I think Burak. If you talk about the 2010s, and if you talk about the 2010s and you ask for 5 players, he has to be in that top 5. I think.
Yeah.
I was having a discussion with my friends when I was like making the list for myself, because it's something I want to talk to you guys and Burak and Özer next week, like our top 3 of the decade. I think that gets really tough. Like the top 3 to fit Burak in there. I kind of feel like you have to put him in there, but there's other guys that, like for example, Muslera. Obviously, he has to be in there. For me, he's number 1. I think Atiba Hutchinson has to be in that top 3 too. But then who's going to get 3rd place? Like, you have guys like Burak, you have guys like Sneijder, Edin Visca, you have... I mean, Visca, he's been the man of this decade too, but the detractor for him, I guess, would be, like, he hasn't won anything yet. But, oh my god, we're going on to what we're going to talk about next week. This is... Let's talk about this season, not yet this decade, because we're already spoiling so much. But think about that already, and you listening as well. Just think about that already. Maybe send in some stuff that you want us to talk about for the next episode. But no, to get back to what I was saying, like Trabzon have this weelde, this. They just have this luxury problem up top, it feels like. And I think that also the 6-2 victory kind of illustrates what Trabzon's greatness and problems are at the same time. Like, they score easily. They have a lot of different players that can score. They're just a well-oiled machine going forward. But then at the back, they can concede at every time. And I think that's their biggest issue still. And that's something they have to improve. And for sure, some of the criticism on Ünal Karaman, I think, in recent weeks has been that the football hasn't always been as it should be. I think Trabzonspor should be more dominant sometimes. But at the same time, Sosa had an injury. Obe Mikel had an injury. Their midfield in the last month or 2-3 has taken a little bit of a hit because of those guys being out for a while, then coming back, not 100% fit. And to dominate games, your midfield has to be in tip-top shape, and I don't think that's always been the case in the last couple of months. So I do think that's a little bit of a little bit of an excuse for them. But yeah, what would you say, Yakup? Do you think that the 6-2 kind of illustrates the type of first half of the season Trabzon have been having?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. What I thought, just a really weird stat. Of the 17 games that we played the first half of the season, only in the Super League, we had a clean sheet for 2 of those. One of those was the week before this one against Konyaspor, and the other one was against Alanyaspor at home. All the other games we conceded, and I think that a big part of this is that for some reason Ünal Karaman was rotating a lot in the defense, and in my opinion, our defense is like the worst part that the team has.
He did it a lot in the beginning of the season, but is he still doing that as often?
I mean, he still did some weird shit. I think he had a problem with Hosseini or something, or Hosseini had
Didn't Hosseini have some injury?
Yeah, I think it was like an injury problem and whatnot. So that was the biggest problem, defense wise, I think that Trabzonspor is from of the big four. Maybe like the starting 11 is okay, but um, the subs, it's just like you're like putting a bandage on like like a broken arm. The
If I
thing
was
that leaves.
Trabzonspor, I would
Yeah,
go for Marcelo.
Marcelo.
Marcelo, ex Besiktas,
Yeah, I know,
wants to
but
leave Lyon. That would be a
yeah,
great
I
signing.
know, but
Could win you the
I,
title.
I think wage wise it would be really hard for us. They are
Yeah,
they are
maybe.
supposedly going for some big names like Talisca and Hulk or
Oh
something.
yeah, that's gonna work out.
I don't see it happening.
Where would you even put them?
Just fuck off. Just put him in left back or something. Just Trabzonspor like old school. Just put him at right back.
Okay.
But you could see the team is doing well. The team is one of the nicer teams to see and watch play. But I don't know. This game, especially when it was 2-0, I was like, okay, we're doing okay. And then Kayserispor had a really, really great goal. The 2-1 was a really nice goal. And immediately panic set in. I was like, okay, so I guess we're losing this game once again. Um, and even though we have a lot of great midfielders and attackers, there's always a sense of panic at Trabzonspor. It has been like this for the last decade plus. Like for I think it's like in the genes of the clubs or something. In the genes of the club or something
Well,
that.
I probably because they haven't won for as long as they have. I think that plays along for sure.
Yeah, it could be. I know. I don't know what it is. Like
I mean,
every.
look at Gerrard slipping against Chelsea. That's definitely that's the same thing. That's the same type of trauma, and I think that's something. For example, like a club like Liverpool right now, it looks like they're gonna win the title. With two
Don't
fingers
jinx it.
up their nose.
Don't
Do not
jinx
jinx
it. Just stop
But
it.
look, what I'm gonna say is, I think that a club like Liverpool, given the kind of trauma they have, not having won the title since 1990, I think if you're a club like that, you almost have to go into the final weeks with like a 10-point lead. Otherwise, you're gonna choke, just because of that history, and that just starts playing in the players' minds. And I think it's kind of the same thing with Trabzonspor, because they haven't won a title since, what is it, 1984 or 1986.
Nah,
Not
2010, 2011.
yeah, I know.
I'm so
But
happy that
even
Burak isn't here.
but even then they had a 9-point lead, and they still allowed Fenerbahce to get back at level points.
Do you say 96?
So this is what we're doing. We're going to make me angry.
No, but I mean it's yeah.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean I think as a Galatasaray or Beşiktaş or Fenerbahce aren't too well at coping with going into the final weeks with similar points either. But like for example for a Bursaspor, when they did it in 2010, they didn't have a complex. They didn't have that history. They could only win. They had nothing to lose.
I mean, I think that all the transfers that we did this year. I think what was really good is that we brought a lot of players that are that are winners. You got Obi Mikel, you got Sturridge, you got Sosa. All players that have a winning mentality. So let's hope that
What has Turkish won?
like the Champions League last year. Those
but
things.
did he play?
Nah.
I mean, just saying. He
No,
came
but
from
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I also think that when, in 2015-16, in the 14-15 season, Beşiktaş had like Sosa, they had Dembaba, they had lots of good players. But I don't see those guys as winners, because yes, they're good players, played at a very high level, but they never really won anything. And then the season following, you bring in Mario Gomez, who has won 5 Bundesliga titles, a Champions League. He knows what it is to win. And I think that's something that a team needs. They need to have 1 or 2 players that really know what it's like to go into those last 4 games with like a 3-point lead or something and manage to not choke.
So, like, you mean Hagi and Popescu and Tafarel?
For example, yeah. Tafarel, for sure. Hagi, definitely. Just that's the type of players you need, I think. And I don't know if Trabzonspor really have that. Because they have great players, but who
Don't
of
you
those
consider
players-
Sosa that kind of player?
Nope. Choker.
No?
Massive choker.
Oh,
So, yeah, he's a choker, man. He always choked when he was playing for Beşiktaş. Like in the big games, he'd completely disappear. He'd miss like one-on-one opportunities time after time. Remember that game against the 1-0 in Ali Samian that Mario Gomez scored the goal.
mm-hmm.
Sosa missed like 3 chances, man, in that game. He could have killed it off. And that's the thing with Sosa. Like maybe with actually winning the title, maybe that experience has changed him, though, because you need to have won something to become...
So you would say Trabzonspor is lacking a player like Emre Belözoğlu?
Oh my God! Don't say that.
You don't always need a player like that. Sometimes youthly enthusiasm is enough. Like maybe Surlov just has a chat dran. You know what I mean? Yakup, he doesn't give a shit, and he doesn't infect him. But like a guy like Oğuzhan, I think he needed a guy like Mario Gomez to kind of hold his hand when the things got rough. You know what I mean? I don't know the players of the mentality-wise. I don't know the Trabzonspor players well enough to say, okay, no, these guys really need that anchor to hold on to. And like, you know, Obi Mikel, he played for Chelsea for so long. He won stuff, but he was never really a determining player there either. So I don't know if he's going to have that role in this team. It's possible he can. But I think to really determine whether you have proper winners, you're going to have to go into those last couple of weeks and still being in the race, and then you're going to get to see whether a player is a winner or not.
I mean, it's obviously way too early to talk about it, but you know, we just need a player. Do you remember when we had Durica? You know, a player
Yes,
like that,
the Polish guy, yeah.
Like
Jan Durica. Jan,
no?
right? Jan?
Czech. Yeah.
Was it? Oh, yeah, right.
So
He was like 35, 36 already,
yeah,
wasn't he?
like a player that's old as balls, but still doing well. You know.
What kind of an
And-
expression is that?
The
And,
guy
you know,
Yes.
broken the
Zago.
Razak Troy's ankles.
I don't remember that, but yeah, I do. Yeah,
He was just having a great season and he just broken his ankles.
yeah, I remember that one.
Was he at Konya then?
Yeah, I could coach him was going, yeah.
Ah, well then.
But you know, you need players like that. Maybe not the best on the pitch, but just fuck it, just bring Tolga Zengin back, man. I just want Tolga Zengin back.
Ah, he's a loser. Why would you want him?
I don't know. He has that big brother mentality, you know. With
Yeah.
Trabzonspor, with a lot of young players that we have, he might keep them at the straight path. You know, maybe not
Okay, yeah.
like a guy that's going to be like, okay, we're going to win the Champions League. But when you see the young players slipping up, you have a player like him just pulling them by the ears and
Yeah,
just
maybe.
you know letting them come back to life.
Do you
know?
think Uğurcan still needs that though? I mean,
No,
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
talking about Uğurcan in particular. Just you know, just the team on a whole. You know, you have Hüseyin, you have Abdülkadir Parmak, you have Uğurcan, you have Abdülkadir Ömür, who we hope is going to return. You know, players like that still need a little bit of big brother thing. That's
Yeah,
what I
for
liked
sure.
when Burak was with us. He tried to get the young players and get them on the right path. I don't know if Burak was the right player for it, but he still did it. You know, you need.
Yeah,
a
he's
player
doing
like
that with Beşiktaş too. But
So it's. I remember a lot of people being pissed that he was like kind of taking Abdülkadir Ömür under his wing, but you do need a player like that doing something like that. You know.
Mhm.
So
yeah, for sure.
Fuck it,
You just don't want him to learn his dirty mannerisms. to
yeah,
them.
pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we kind of spoke a little bit about Trabzon here. Like, so let's get a little bit into Galatasaray's first half of the season. Umut, 10 points behind Sivasspor going into the second half of the season. Signs of life now in this 5-0 with Taylan Antalya getting a chance. Already some big rumors of new guys coming in. Henry Onyekuru is being very deliberately named. He's probably going to come in on a 6-month loan. There's Saracchi from Leipzig who's supposedly coming in on a loan. And yeah, just in general, Galatasaray are probably going to try and make a big move still. It's 10 points, but they want to give it a shot still. Do you think that, given their first half performance, it's still possible?
I don't know, man, because we have so many injuries in the team right now. Luyendama probably just closed the season. And Florian Andone as well. Haven't been playing for a long time, and it's been told that he has been just terminated
for
that
just 2.5
loan.
months. Oh, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, and because of that, we could just call Mbaya Jagna back for the team. For the
Yeah,
team's
but then
sake.
the thing is, like, when we're looking at what's being talking about now, like for example, Onyekuru, Sarachi.
Yeah, I know.
All foreigners.
Foreigners,
already-
and also Martin Lunes is coming back to the team.
Yeah, but
It's,
who's gonna get dropped out? Because you're talking that's 3 foreigners already. If you
I
bring
think
in Diagne, that's 4.
yeah, I think Andone is gonna be dropped down, and
Okay, that's 1.
Nagatomo is
And
going.
Zonzi.
Nagatomo,
Enzonzi,
really?
yeah,
Enzonzi
Enzonzi
for
is
sure,
also
yeah. And
going.
Nagatomo too.
Yeah, Nagatomo is going. Probably. I don't know what's the 4th guy. Could be. It could be Jimmy
Lemina.
Dumas. No, Jimmy
Yeah,
Dumas.
Jimmy
No, Lemina is brilliant, man.
Does Jimmy Dumas count as a foreigner? I don't think so.
He's a foreigner, I
Does it
think.
count? Are you sure?
I don't know. Also,
Didn't-
could be.
Wasn't there this discussion of Galatasaray having 14 or 13? What? How many foreigners are you allowed to have in your squad for a matchday squad? Like, isn't it 11 plus 2 or something?
Yeah, could be something like that.
And wasn't there like a discussion of, oh wait, they had Jimmy Durmaz on there, shouldn't that count? Shouldn't they lose 3-0? And then it turned out, no, Jimmy Durmaz counts as a Turk, I think. I could be wrong.
He's a Turkish, I think. He counts as a Turkish. I mean,
he's half Swedish, Syrian, Turkish. What is it?
if Luyendama's not expecting to come out like
They
earlier,
will probably
then
put
they
him
will
out.
just remove him from the list.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Enzonzi and could be they can sell Belhanda as well. Florandone is going. Nagatomo is going, so could be some
Sounds
room.
like a really big operation.
Yeah,
Galatasaray is
yeah,
going to
it
have
is.
11 new players for the second half of the season.
Yeah,
Like,
because we have too many injuries on the team, and I don't know if Selçuk is gonna last long till the end of the season, but he could also retire right now. Nobody's
but that's
gonna
not gonna happen.
object that.
that's not
Yeah.
gonna
Also, we can. It's been said that we are going for Onyekuru, and there's one guy from Eskişehirspor who's called Sekidika.
Mhm.
He's a right winger, left
happen. Another
winger.
foreigner.
Yeah.
Where
I don't
are you
know.
gonna fit all these guys? I think that's
Also,
gonna be
is
Galatasaray's
Emre Mor foreigner? No.
No, he's
then-
playing for the Turkish national team. So
Yeah. So then he's also, I think, being terminated as a loanee. I
Really?
think he is not performing really well.
yeah, true. But I mean, he's not on a high wage. He's Turkish status.
Being Turkish and a stupid player doesn't mean that you have a place in the team.
That's been the career of so many multi-millionaires in Turkey
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
last couple of decades.
I think Mbaya Jagna is going to come back.
Yeah, I could imagine Brugge terminating his loan for sure.
Yeah, we can use him. Doesn't matter if he's good or bad because we don't have any strikers and we cannot afford a new one. So Falcao and Jagna could be a good striker, thing.
Pairing.
Not pairing
Yeah,
because we are playing with
Whatever.
So alternatives to each other.
Yes.
So and also we have Ryan Babel up front, who has been not good, not bad. He's just inconsistent as he ever was.
But
and
it's
will
going
be.
to take a significant change for Galatasaray to make up those 10 points. I think we
Yeah,
can
and
definitely conclude
I
that.
have doubts on Emre Akbaba coming back because I don't know if he's fit enough to play a game right now. He is, he is injured from that Çaykur Rize game last season. Last game, And
Yeah, they do say that usually breaking your leg is easier to come back from than actual severe ligament tears or stuff like that. As long as it's a clean break.
Also, there's a psychological effects on that as well. The
for sure.
player will be hesitational in every single tackle or every single dribble attempt.
And Emre Akbaba is a player that needs that commitment, that hurts, to be as good as he is. He's a mentality player, especially when he was for Galatasaray. I think what made him good was that he gave it 100%, and that's definitely a good point that you make, that if he has a little bit of hesitation in the back of his head, and in the beginning it's normal.
And also, as you're saying that we have too many yabancı foreigners, I don't know why Terim has been giving this kind of opportunity to our youngsters like Yunus, Atalay, Mustafa Kapı, or
but we've already discussed that plenty of times in the past.
Yeah. Also, it's been a really bad thing that he tried to play with Thailand Antalya at the end of the first half. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, at least he
next.
got an opportunity now, so maybe, and he made a good performance. So maybe he's going to get this. Maybe has earned him a spot in the team now.
Yeah, definitely, because he performed really, really well.
Of course, he has to do it again, and he has to do it in competitive games too, because it was never really a match.
Yeah,
it was clear that Galatasaray was going to run away with this.
Also, if we gonna use Martin Lines as a left back, then we're gonna continue with Mariano on the right, and I don't know if it's not because Şener Özbayraklı is constantly injured, injury prone. So I don't know we can rely on him, or we're gonna make a transfer down to that position, right back. That's a really, really hard work for Fatih Terim on the January transfer window.
Yep. We talked about transfers here. So Trabzonspor, do they really need anything? They already got Badu Ndiaye coming in. We spoke about the defense. I think that's the biggest working point for them. We already spoke a little bit about it. Yakup, do you think that Trabzonspor are going to bring in an experienced guy at the back?
I'm not really following the transfer news, to be fair.
The window hasn't really officially opened yet anyway. It's opening on the 4th of January and will run until the 31st. So,
I know, but still, normally you get a little bit of rumors here and there.
You already got the Ndiaye.
Yeah, we already got Ndiaye. I don't know why they got him. I love that we got him, but they probably are
maybe to stop someone else from getting him.
Yeah, but I don't think that a lot of teams were able to or were willing to pay the higher wages that he's earning.
What's his wage?
I don't know, but it should be pretty high.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Our midfield is pretty good at the moment. Probably because Onazi isn't really going to be any worthwhile this season, so they are doing that a bit. I still think that we need a number 10. Obviously, the defense. We need a defender. We need a left back for when Novak is injured, or when Novak is going to leave at the end of the season. I don't really see him.
Yeah, he hasn't extended yet.
No, I don't see him extending. Sosa is probably also gone, which hurts me to the core of my heart.
Yes, there's already talk about him coming back to us, so that hurts me to the core of my heart too. Yeah, I hope not.
He probably is going to go to Argentina for some reason.
Yeah, he should go back to Estudiantes, I guess. That's his team, right? Or Independiente. Is it Estudiantes? I think so. Or
I think it is.
But, no, there's talks of him maybe coming back to Beşiktaş. And he's a great player, obviously. But, I mean, at 30... I don't want Beşiktaş to be looking at a 35-year-old player.
Yeah,
it's great. If he stays at Trabzonspor, it's different, Filip Novak, that's an interesting player for other Turkish clubs. I could definitely see Galatasaray or Fenerbahce throwing some money at him.
I can, the appeal of Istanbul is just too big. I think that's pretty much what separates Trabzonspor from the other top three. That we might be able to kind of compete with salary and whatnot, but just getting players to come to Trabzon. Even though if you go to Trabzon, it's a really beautiful place. Not just because I'm from there, It is a really beautiful place. But when you're like a 24-year-old with way too much money on the bank, and Novak is married, so that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But
No, no proper nightlife and stuff like that.
You got the yengeler trying to be more into the fashion thing, and you just don't have that in Trabzon. So the appeal of a place like Beşiktaş or Galatasaray, it's just too big, But if he doesn't re-sign with us, I don't see him staying in Turkey. I might be wrong. I hope I'm not. But I'm still hopeful that he will resign. If it was up to me, just give him a blank check. Just let him write whatever he wants because he's been wonderful.
The AKP will pay it anyway.
Oh my God!
I have to fill in Burak's void here. Sorry, I have to do it.
As a lot of Turkish teams, a lot of teams in general, not only in Turkey, the left and right back positions are the hardest to fill.
Yeah,
you don't really have a lot of good players coming in. So when you have a good player like him, just do whatever it takes
Chain
to keep him.
To the bed,
And I don't see any players that can get into the positions that he is in. Be as successful attacking as defending. There are a couple guys that I like, but those are just players like Umut Meraş. It's just they won't they won't sign. Nazım Sangare is good, but he's a right back.
Nazım's good, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him coming to us either. But Trabzonspor is doing their best.
Well, I think Umut Meraş would be possible. I mean, he's just playing in Ligue 2, so.
I mean,
maybe.
Still, if I was him, I would prefer playing in France in the second league than playing in Turkey.
For sure.
Even though I want him to play at Trabzonspor, I just don't see it happening.
I just mean like in terms of salary and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he's definitely. You could definitely tempt him, but I don't know if he's worth like 1.2 million a year. That would be a little bit much, I think.
I mean, I don't even think that Novak is earning that much. Novak is earning like.
Wouldn't be surprised. But there's one big talking point we'll get to with Trabzonspor, but I just want to focus a little bit quickly on the other teams.
Yeah.
Başakşehir, really poor start of the season. Just like Beşiktaş, Başakşehir kind of go hand in hand in that they had a poor start the first 5 or so games. They only had like 5 or 6 points. But then they really came back. They've gone on a great run. Beşiktaş had a great run, but they kind of got halted and lost back-to-back games. Now they got a win this weekend. They're at 30 points, finished the first half of the season at 30 points, but Başakşehir kind of kept that momentum going, and they're going into the second half of the season as one of the hot teams, really. I think we've kind of slept on them a little bit. Of course, the focus is going more at Sivasspor, who are surprising everyone, being at the top of the table, and we'll talk about them in a little bit, but naturally the focus is going to go to Trabzonspor, to Fenerbahce, and then obviously to Sivasspor, and people looking at, okay, can Galatasaray come back? Can Beşiktaş get back on the horse? But Başakşehir kind of gets lost in there, and the last 2 weeks, they got really simple, big victories. They just keep winning. They look formidable under Okan Buruk, and they're, 5 points out from first place right now, I think. But given that bad start to the first half of the season, they definitely had a good first half of the season with 32 points. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Do you think that 32 points for Trabzonspor is enough? Given, like you said, the team's been together for quite a while. Yes, there's new additions, but the heart of the team has been together for a long time. Do you think that 32 points is enough, or would you say, if you had to grade the first half of the season for Trabzonspor in terms of points, what grade from 0 to 10 would you give them?
I don't know, like an 8 maybe. They have just lost like really dumb points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think that they should have won against Galatasaray. Obviously, the game against Denizli a couple of weeks ago, but otherwise, I think the turning point of this season will probably be the Rizespor game, where we were behind 1-0 and we changed. We came back and won 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. We lost against Sivas, against Göztepe, and against Denizlispor, and we drew against Galatasaray and Başakşehir. So Galatasaray, Başakşehir, and Fenerbahce. So obviously we need to win against our main rivals to make a difference. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with what we did.
Do you have a specific highlight for the first half of the season, like a specific reference point, like you just said, Rizespor, the match? But is there any other match that would you say is the highlight, and what would be the low light?
I mean, the low light is obviously the Denizlispor game.
Okay.
You know, that one was a game that we just shouldn't have given away for obvious reasons. You can hindsight is 2020, so you can say that we should have won the Sivasspor game, but at the time Sivasspor wasn't that big of a rival of ours.
Yeah.
A personal favorite of mine is probably the Beşiktaş game because of obvious reasons. Just to annoy some friends of mine, just to be a dick. But as I said, like a couple of times to my close friends, and probably a couple of times on the podcast, that generally the Trabzonspor Beşiktaş games are in my opinion the greatest games to watch. It's really fun games. Might not be for the losing side, but still the football that's being played is really nice to see. And
drama. There's usually some drama there.
Yeah. So
without it being dirty, without it ever being a
being
screw
annoying
job or anything, without it ever being really controversial. It's always usually a fair game with lots of
So
spectacular
like what really meant a lot for the team was as I said before, the Çaykur Rizespor game. But personally, the Beşiktaş game, I'm still angry that we didn't win against Fenerbahçe, obviously for obvious reasons, and like the normal games against Beşiktaş, the big rivals. But I think the Çaykur Rizespor game is really important.
Yeah. Let's get to that big talking point now at Trabzonspor. So 32 points in the first half of the season, probably their best first half of the season since like 2010 or something.
Yeah,
I don't know the numbers, but I can only
11.
assume. Yeah, so great year, really, a great season. First half of the season for Trabzonspor. They're on a hot run. They have one of the hottest strikers in the league, 12 goals, top scorer with Papi Cisse right now. Everything going pretty well for them. Okay, they had some little hiccups along the road, like you alluded to, that Denizlispor game. But then they trash our friends of Kayseri 6-2. First half of the season is over. Happy New Year. Oh, and by the way, Ünal Karaman, he's being sacked. So the coach is being sacked. He's thrown out. Trabzonspor starting 2020 having to look for a new coach. What happened at Trabzon?
What didn't happen? If the rumors, if you are to believe the rumors, of which there are plenty. First of all, I don't believe them, but there are sayings that after the Denizlispor game, Berat Albayrak, the son-in-law, the big Trabzonspor fan, I think he's also from Trabzon himself, called Aul and told them, called Ünal Karaman personally. The story just gets weirder and weirder, but because it's Trabzon and Trabzonspor, there's a part of me that says like, okay, this probably did happen. So he called Ünal Karaman and he was like, dude, what the fuck? Why does the team play the way it does? And if this did happen, props to Ünal Karaman. Ünal Karaman supposedly went back and told him, yo, don't tell me what to do with my team because I'm not telling you what to do with the economy. Let's talk about the economy then. So supposedly Berat Albayrak then went to Ahmet Aul and
he deserves a statue if that's true, by the way.
If it's true. I don't think it's true, but still. So he went to Aul and he told him, so you got to sack this guy because he told me this, and Aul was like, okay, sure, whatever. And the moment the news came out, like the whole Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, whatever, just went wild. Supposedly, Süleyman Soylu went to Trabzonspor to talk to Trabzon to talk with Aul. Erdogan called. Like all these shit that happened. I believe none of them.
Circus.
What I did see and what I think is the problem after the Denizlispor game Aul gave an interview to Bein Sports, I think, where he was really critical of the team. He was like, he was critical of that. The team is still a team that doesn't keep possession a lot. When they lose possession, they don't track back a lot. Standard stuff like that. That's you and I talk about, and pretty much everyone talks about. But I think what went wrong is that because he did this in front of the press, Karaman got a little bit annoyed and was like, "Okay, dude. First of all, we're doing really well. Why say this in front of the press? And if you think about this, if you think about it this way, just talk to me instead of doing it in the press." So I think that the cracks started to form there. And after we...
Yeah, didn't Unal Karaman also say something like he's talking more like a fan than he's a president or something?
Yeah. So it's also really weird. Like, you're the president. I know it. Your main goal is to have a competitive team and do well in the league. But just keep yourself out of whatever. When there's a controversial time, just step up and try to take the blame and take it away from the players. But don't put blame on your players, You're the guy.
Do you think do you think the animosity maybe also has to do with the bad run in Europe, because Unal Karaman sacrificed the European run for the league and then didn't necessarily... I mean, he did well in the league, but if you're going to sacrifice Europe, maybe you should be doing a little bit better in the president's eyes, maybe?
I don't think that's that. I don't think that's the reason why shit went the way it did. What I personally think is that it's like a big part of it is that things were said in parts to media that shouldn't have been said to the media, and obviously, Aul shouldn't have said any of this. And if he did, he should have said it personally to Unal Karaman, and it shouldn't have been like this big of a media circus that it is. On the second part, you're not a fan. You're not the coach. You're not the manager. You're not whatever. You're the president. You shouldn't say this kind of stuff anyway. Maybe
the only thing a president in Turkey should do is cry about the referees, right?
Yeah, I mean that's just the president shouldn't be in the forefront. They should be in the back, and whenever there is a big thing,
that's not the way Turkish presidents think.
I know, but until now, I was a big fan of Aul. I still am. It's not like this changed anything or something like that. He has done a lot of good things. So it's weird to see shit like this go down. Between him,
yeah, we have to remember where Trabzonspor are coming from with the whole Hacı Osmanoğlu time. How he left the club and stuff like that. But it worries me a little bit when you see these egos clashing like this, and basically these individuals putting their own personal egos ahead of the importance of the club. Is that something that, doesn't that bother you?
It does. The way it bothers me is that both of Unal Karaman had a lot of was influenced a lot by Şenol Güneş. You can see it in the way he talks. How
that was his assistant too.
Yeah, you can see it in the way he talks. You can see the way he acts. It probably trains his team, and he never comes off like a guy that has a big ego. I still don't think he has a big ego. And the same goes.
No,
for
but to be successful at that level and stuff, you have to have a certain degree of ego, and everyone has an ego anyway.
But you know what I'm talking about. I don't think that.
Of course, he doesn't have a problematic ego.
Yeah, if you compare it to a Terim, they're like two, like on a whole different plane.
Terim's ego is bigger than his house.
Yeah, so. When this happened, I was like, okay, where is the trouble? Is it like the president said something, or Karaman was angry about something? It's weird to see their egos clash like this, because as I said, Karaman doesn't seem like a guy that has a big ego. Same goes for Aul. Aul has been a guy that's really down to earth. He has been a type of president that said, like, don't accept a championship. Don't accept this. He has been really, really clear with everything he's been saying. So it's really weird to see this go down like this. I hate it. I made that pretty apparent on all the social media I use. I've been a big fan of Ünal Karaman, even though he has some shortcomings, but pretty much everyone has those.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not the season to do this. We finally gotten off of all those horrible trainers that we have, and we finally get a good guy, and the team is doing well. The players are well. The youth players are doing well. The team is doing well. The whole city is behind the team, and you go out and you just
Put a
kick out
bomb
the
on
guy
it.
that has been like the fan favorite for a long time. I've seen and heard a lot of Beşiktaş fans, Galatasaray fans, and whatnot not believe this, because it's such a stupid decision. It's such an unbelievably stupid decision, and now there aren't any good trainers left, in my opinion. I don't want to see Mustafa Denizli. Yilmaz Vural, just shoot me right now. Stuff like that. The only one that probably could have come back is Şenol, but he's with the national team. I don't see that happening. Maybe for half a year. But Aul talked about it, and he said that they're going to proceed with Hüseyin Cimşir, which I'm not angry about it, because he has been with the team a long time. He knows the players. He probably knows them personally pretty good also.
But how is he as a coach?
That's the problem. He's a first time coach. The problem is, how well is he going to do? Karaman had a little bit of experience with being the assistant manager to Şenol Güneş, being a manager with Adanaspor. I think he was also at Samsun. I might be wrong. Short stints like that still mean a lot for a manager. And
yeah, plus he's built up a rapport with the team as the trainer.
Yeah. So it's just it just doesn't make any sense in any way. I get that probably they both thought, okay, we can just fit to a door together. But still, it just bothers me a lot. I know a lot of guys in my circle. A lot of family members, a lot of guys that I know online that support Trabzonspor, act like the shit hit the fan and just end the season right now, and we're going to go back to the times that we lost 6-0 against Antalya, 7-0 against that. I don't think it's going to be such a bad day as that, bad season as that one.
Well, that's almost impossible with this squad.
Yeah, I'm still optimistic. I'm just scared of, as I said in the group chat, that there's going to be a new manager that is going to try to show his managerness by taking on the biggest player that we have and benching him or something. But with Hüseyin Cimşir, I don't see that happening. I'm still hopeful. I just hope that the Trabzonsporlular and everyone in Trabzon don't act like Aul is the devil for sending Ünal away.
Well, if they end up not winning the title, I think that's gonna. He's gonna blow up in his face anyway. The only way that Aul can come out as a winner out of this is they lift the title at the end of the season, I think.
I still, even if Ünal Karaman kept going, I still didn't think that we were going to be champion.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, in no particular order, I'm gonna give you an out on that. But what is the top three right now? Is Sivasspor, Başakşehir, Trabzonspor.
Yeah,
that's the top three at the moment. At the end of the season, who's gonna be in the top three? You don't have to say who's gonna end up first, second, or third. Just the top three for the end of the season. What is your prediction?
I do think Trabzonspor is going to be in the top three. In my opinion, Fenerbahçe has a really good squad, so I also see them in the top three. But I really can't find a third one. Probably Başakşehir. I don't see Sivasspor keeping this up.
So you see them dropping out of the top three?
Yeah, I can see them.
Okay.
I can see them losing valuable points against the big four.
Okay. Umut, same question to you. Top three at the end of the season, no particular order.
Başakşehir, Fenerbahçe, and Sivasspor.
Okay. So Fenerbahçe, Trabzonspor, Galatasaray.
No Sivasspor? No?
No, I'm gonna go with Yakup here. I think I don't know if Sivas can hold. The thing for me is it's gonna be very important. This first 7 or 8 weeks are gonna be key for Sivasspor because they're kind of like Bursaspor in 2010. If they can go into those final 4 weeks still top or 2 points off or whatever, for them they have nothing to lose. So I could see it's easier for me to see them win the title than Başakşehir, because Başakşehir over the last couple of years, they were never in a position that they didn't have anything to lose. They were always in the position of, look, you have this squad, you have lots of money that's been spent on this, blah blah blah. You have to win. It's time. That's been their pressure. And yes, they don't have a lot of fan pressure, but they had that pressure of, you have to win something with this team. And that's not the case here with Sivasspor. They're in a similar position as Bursaspor were all those years ago, where if they win, they'll go down in history as heroes. If they don't win, they'll still go down in history as heroes. Like that 2009 team of Sivasspor is still fondly remembered by the city. They'll not go down in history as heroes in the whole of Turkey, but in Sivas at least. But so if they can get to those final couple of weeks, still in that race, I think they'll definitely end in the top 3. But I just think like Yakup, I think they're gonna falter early on. I think they're gonna drop points straight away. I wouldn't be surprised if, even though I don't have a lot of faith in Beşiktaş right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Beşiktaş win that match on the opening match day, and then Başakşehir and Trabzonspor sneak closer. And then it's just gonna go downhill from there, I think. That's my prediction. But my top 3, yeah, I still think Galatasaray are gonna do some big investments. Maybe not like permanent transfers because they can't really, but I think they're gonna bring in some good players on loan, and somehow they'll work some Fatih Terim voodoo. They'll get some dodgy calls, and they'll get some points they shouldn't have gotten, probably through phantom penalties, and they'll get back up there. But I think we spoke enough about all of that right now. We didn't really spend enough time on Sivasspor, I feel like, though. They had an amazing first half of the season. They're playing really good football, that should all be said. Interesting statistic was pointed out to me earlier with the XG, expected goals. Trabzonspor, Beşiktaş, Fenerbahçe, Başakşehir are all really on the same level. They're scoring the amount of goals you'd expect them to score. But Sivasspor actually are scoring a lot more than they would be expecting to score. And I don't have the numbers in front of me here right now, but we can deduce from that Sivasspor have a very good conversion rate. And I think that's also very much attached to form. And now I actually think that Sivasspor would benefit from an English season where there's no winter break, because I think this winter break this could be the stick in their wheel. So it all comes down to how Sivasspor come out of that winter break. If they can keep that momentum going, then yeah, who knows? You know, fairy tales do happen. But let's go to the standings. Yakup, can you go over the top of the standings and the bottom of the standings, please? And just go over the entire standings, actually.
Yes. So at first, Sivasspor at the end of the first half still leaders in the league, 37 points. Second, Başakşehir with 33. Trabzonspor is third with 32 points. Fourth is Fenerbahçe with 31 points. Fifth, you have Beşiktaş with 30 points, and I have to say this: they have a goal difference of 5 goals. So, oh my God.
It's because they only win goals by 1 goal difference usually.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The top 4 has like 10 plus, like 13 to 19, and then you have Beşiktaş with 5. It's really weird to see.
Look at Malatya, for example, their goal differential.
Yeah, Alanyaspor is 6th with 29 points. Then you have Galatasaray at 7th with 27 points. Yeni Malatyaspor as the 8th has a goal difference of 10 with 24 points. They are drawn with Gaziantep, who also have 24 points, but on a -2 goal difference. 10th is Göztepe with 23 points. Denizlispor is 11th with 22 points. Çaykur Rizespor, who I think has a pretty good season going, has 20 points. Gençlerbirliği has 18 points at 13th. 14th, Kasımpaşa has 15 points. 15th, Konyaspor has 15 points. 16th, Antalyaspor has 14 points. So the battle for the relegation zone is still pretty close. Ankaragücü 17th has 12 points, and Kayserispor 18th has 10 points. Before we go, I also have the difference between the home games and away games, and I think this is pretty much where Sivasspor shines, because they are at the top of the league at their home games. In 9 games, they have accumulated 25 points, and that's the second best is Beşiktaş with 20 points, and Fenerbahçe is third with 19 points. So as you can see, the difference is pretty high. Trabzonspor is 7th with 17. Başakşehir is 5th with 18. So Sivasspor made their difference in the home games. And the away games, in this one, the top 3 teams are Trabzonspor with 15, Başakşehir with 15, and Denizlispor with 15. So you can see that Sivasspor is doing really well at home, but away they are also doing pretty okay. They have 12 points from 8 away games.
Yep, kudos to Denizlispor, 15 points.
Yes, unbelievable.
Really let's head into the top score standings then. Papi Cisse and Alexander Surlov share first place with 12 goals apiece. Then Bogdan Stanku, who was not in action this week, he was suspended, is on second place with 11 goals. Then we have Adis Jahovic and Vedat Muric in third place with 10 goals for both of them. And then on fourth place we have Enzo Crivelli and Gaziantep's Kayode with 8 goals. And then in fifth place we have Sivasspor's Mustafa Yatabare with 7 goals. Heading over to the assists, we're just gonna go do the top 3 here, because there's a lot of players who are on third place. So in first place we have Caner Erkin and Edim Visca. They both have 7 assists. And in second place we have Guilherme with 6 assists. Then in third place we have a plethora of players here. Adem Laic, Emre Kilinc, Max Kruse, Ömer Bayram, Alexander Surlov, Junior Fernandez, Ismail Aysati, Hayradinovic and Kayode. They all have 5 assists. The only player who is in both the top scorer list and also the top 5 top scorers and the top 3, I should say, assisters is Alexander Surlov with 12 goals and 5 assists. So he has already been involved in 17 goals this season for his team. That's pretty impressive. Guys, quickly, Yakup, striker of the first half of the season. Who's the guy for you, the best attacker?
Surlov.
Umut, who's your favorite attacker in the first half of the season?
It could be Muric.
Yeah, I think it's a very tough one. Muric has been so important for Fener. Surlov has been so important for Trabzonspor. Just for the fact that Trabzonspor are further ahead, I would say Surlov. 12 goals, 5 assists is really impressive. Best midfielder of the first half of the season, Yakup.
That one is difficult. I'm going to go with a player from Trabzonspor and a player not from Trabzonspor. For Trabzonspor, obviously Sosa. Not for Trabzonspor, probably Emre Kılınç.
Yeah. Umut, best midfielder?
That's a hard one. It could be Sosa, but I don't know. Really, that's a tough question. I would say Sosa.
Has to be Emre Kılınç for me. Best defender of the first half of the season, Yakup.
So once again, Trabzon first. For Trabzon Hosseini, in the league, I have to be honest, I'm not that good with who's the best in the league, but I'm a big fan of Vida. So I don't know how good he was this season, but I'm a big fan of his.
He's my pick, so he's been really impressive. Apart from the first couple of weeks, he started slow, but he's been really impressive since. And I think he's one of the reasons why Beşiktaş are still that high on the table despite that poor goal differential. And I think that's more down to the fact that they just don't score that much. Umut, your pick for the best defender of the league in the first half of the season?
I could have said easily Luyendama, but he's been injured. So do I have to pick someone else?
Who's been the best? Yeah. Even when he wasn't injured, how was Luyendama the best? Come on.
It was good for Galatasaray. Yeah. Why? Do you want me to say Kampi or something like that?
I want you to say Vida because he's clearly the best.
Vida's great. Vida's great. And also we have to keep an eye on the Alanyaspor defender Wellington.
Mina, Arturo Mina, come on.
Yeah, Arturo Mina for Everkur Yeni Malatyaspor.
For me, it's either one of those, Vida or Mina. They're both great. I've said it. I think for months now. I'm really a big fan of Arturo Mina.
Does this Mina has any relation to the Barcelona Mina?
No. This one's Arturo Mina is Venezuelan, I think, and the one you're thinking of, he plays for Everton now.
Yeah,
Colombian.
He's Colombian, yeah.
Yerry
Tommy
Mina.
Yerry.
Yeah.
Tommy Yerry. Okay, sorry.
Also, also we have to choose a back as well. You know.
Nah, we're just gonna go striker, midfielder, defender, and now goalkeeper. Goalkeeper of the first half of the season for you, Yakup.
Uğurcan.
Uğurcan, and then
I'm not even picking a guy that's not from Trabzonspor. It's Uğurcan for me.
This is a tough one. Goalkeeper. Muslera has been in great form once again. Uğurcan is having a great season, of course. I think it has to be...
because of that France game, Mert has a chance?
No, I don't. We have to look at the league, and I think Samasa's pretty good for Sivasspor. Farnell's been good.
I mean, I like Neto, but like couple games he's really good.
But Beto's been
come on, no.
Karius has had a really good first half of the season, I feel, but definitely not worthy of being the best. I'm gonna have to go with Samasa from Sivasspor. The Burak and Özer, they weren't here, so they don't get their say. I don't know if there's anything else we should discuss, guys. Biggest UEFA's best save of the 2019. It was Muslera's save versus Club Brugge. Which one? He had a couple.
That corner kick save where Vormer took the corner kick and I think it was Delhi.
In the first match in Imbra.
Yeah, the first match. I was there, you know.
I know you were there.
Yeah, I have gone to...
Had to play your personal GPS.
3 different countries to not see a single goal.
Yeah, you'll never do that again. Okay, biggest revelation of the first half of the season. It can be a team, it can be a player, it can be a coach, it can be anything.
Definitely Sivasspor.
Yakup, for you?
Team, Sivasspor, obviously. Player, I think it's a draw between Sørloth and Emre Kılınç because a lot of people didn't expect Sørloth to play this good.
Yeah.
Coach-wise, you have to go with Rıza Çalınbay, and my personal pick is Ünal Karaman, of course. So, did I miss any?
No, it's fine. Coach and
player.
And player, yeah, for you, Umut.
I would say Emre Belözoğlu's determination and how he fights for his win, even though he's been 40. Right?
Is that still a revelation for you, though, after his time at Başakşehir, where he showed that too?
Yeah, but he's still continuing to impress, you know? And
you just shat on him earlier in the episode, but okay.
No. That's a different kind of thing, you know?
It's a moment in time.
His last game, he wasn't that good, but
yeah, he just came back from an injury too.
Yeah,
he had to get subbed off against Beşiktaş.
Seeing Selçuk every single game, you know, experiencing that kind of thing, Emre Belözoğlu continues to impress, even though I'm not a Fenerbahçe fan. And for coach, definitely Rıza Çalınbay is a good thing, and also it still continues to impress to watch Erol Bulut.
Yeah, Emre Kilic for me. I mean, not so much a revelation. I mean, he's been good consistently for a couple of seasons, but he's picked it up. He's playing at a very high level right now, where last season, at the beginning of the season, Beşiktaş were interested in him, and for me it was kind of like, sure, squad depth player, whatever. I could see him as that, but now, as he's been playing now, if he can bring that over to a bigger club and play at that level, then you can see him simply being a starter. And I didn't see him like that 6 months ago. So definitely Emre Kilic is the player for me. Team has to also be Sivasspor, without a doubt. I don't think you can go anywhere else. And coach,
Rıza Çalınbay, Atom Karınca.
Has to be.
Riza has had, I mean, he's had good runs with teams before, but yeah, it's pretty spectacular, and they're playing good football on top of that. Like when he was at Beşiktaş, I didn't like the football he was having us play. It felt kind of like he was a little bit afraid to lose and stuff like that. But it feels like he's playing very gutsy now with Sivasspor. Now I don't know if he would ever go to Beşiktaş again, if he would still play that same type of football, or if he would be too afraid again. I don't know, but it changes. When you go to a Fenerbahçe Galatasaray, it has an impact on a coach. Like they have the pressure to win every week in, week out, and it has a certain mental impact on them. But definitely he's been impressive. So yeah, he deserves the nod for sure. And if we have to go to, I mean, just based on the first half of the season, if we would have to give a manager award, it would definitely have to be Rıza Çalınbay. So, I think that's pretty much it for
Flop
this
of the season.
Sorry?
Flop of the season.
Flop of the season. Okay, that's a good one. Yakup, what's your flop of the season?
I don't know. I really
flop of the first half of the season, we have to say.
Yeah, this one is hard. Yeah, obviously for Trabzonspor, I think that. So I don't know. For Trabzonspor, it probably is Avdijar, because a lot of people had some high expectations for him. Personally, I think for the league, I think it is. I don't think UMut is going to be happy with this. I think it's Falcao, because
I agree with that.
Okay. I think that's his pick too.
No, I don't know. You never know. A lot of expectations.
Özer wouldn't be happy with it. I think UMut doesn't mind.
Okay, a lot of expectations and big injuries, a lot of money. I think that with everything that came with him, I think that Falcao is pretty much the biggest disappointment for now.
For now, yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Yeah, Falcao has to be it. Just because of the fact that he missed so many games, and when he played, he didn't really impress yet. But, could still all change in the second half of the season. UMut, your pick?
Yeah, definitely Falcao and Seri as well.
Seri? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm also, I have to say, I'm disappointed, not so much in the player, Tyler Boyd, but I'm very disappointed in the...
Where is he?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not getting any opportunities, really. I mean, he got like 10 minutes against really, but he's barely getting any chances, and I had really high expectations for him because I really, really liked him at Ankaragücü. I like the type of player he is, and in that regard, I think he's definitely the biggest disappointment for me. And I don't blame him for it, really. I am really more disappointed in Abdullah Avcı not giving him a fair chance, because I feel like he hasn't really had a lot of chances following the Sivasspor game, but yeah.
As a coach, would you consider Fatih Terim as the one?
The disappointment?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I definitely think if you look at the players he has at his disposal, and obviously, Galatasaray have had their fair share of injuries, but I think 27 points with this squad, that's just I mean, if you had to give that a score, I think it's a 3 out of 10 at best. Yeah. What is your grade that you would give Galatasaray's first half of the season performance in the league alone, not looking at the Champions League?
Well, we've been pretty bad because we have a long run without scoring goals, and some bad choices.
And still a better goal differential than us, I think.
Yeah, but even though we scored 5 against Antalyaspor, it wasn't a good thing. and we just failed to win against Ankaragücü. Well, there was a guy sent off from Ankaragücü with 10 men, and they still came down from a 2-0 lead, 2-0 defeat to make a draw. Yeah, and that's a bad thing coming to the Fatih Terim's
So you're great for Galatasaray then? Out of 10?
Out of 10, I would say 6.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, because the potential is good, but we can use it. So we have to flame it up a little bit for the next half.
Okay. Given Beşiktaş's start to the season, given the injuries that they also had, I think 30 points is acceptable. It's okay. I think a 6.5. I don't think that he could have done much better. I think like maybe 35 points if everything would have gone our way a little bit more. But I just think that, given the circumstances, 30 points is okay. If you look 2 seasons ago with Talisca, with Pepe, with Ryan Babel, with Alvaro Negredo, with all those with great players like Adriano and Fabri. Was Fabri still there? Whatever. With a good team, Şenol Güneş only got 30 points. And then last season he only got 26 points. So 30 points is okay, I think. So I give him a 6. I give Abdullah Avcı in that regard a 6.5 out of 10, just purely based on the points, not based on the performance per se. I think that's gonna do it though, right, guys? Any more things you want to talk about for the first half of the season?
Not really.
No,
Okay.
not that I can think of.
Okay, then let us go and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Or whatever
Happy
you guys are
new
planning on doing.
decade. Happy new 2020s to the listeners who are a really important part of our podcast.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks all the listeners for listening, of course, and following the podcast. Wish you all a great 2020. If you're a Beşiktaş fan, I wish you a very nice nice title celebration. If you're a Fenerbahçe, Galatasaray, Trabzonspor fan, I wish you all a very nice second position.
Yeah.
No. All the best to everyone, of course, in 2020, and hopefully. I just hope that we're going to get a really fun second half of the season, fair, without controversy, without BS. I hope that's
without any things from the VAR.
Yes, with the who posted that? I think it was something I liked on Twitter. Oh yeah, a friend of mine, Aaron, he quoted like this post of how they do it in Australia, where they actually have the VAR conversation.
However,
live
that's
on
a
TV.
long thing ago. It's like a 3-year-old footage.
Okay, well, anyway, I think that's an interesting idea, though, because in Holland, they sometimes, after the matches, they do show the VAR conversation. I remember, was it last season where there was this big controversy between Ajax and Heerenveen with Guzebujuk, who gave like a really controversial penalty to Ajax, and they actually allowed the footage, the sound to be broadcast and stuff like that, and I think that's the way it should be. You shouldn't be holding your hand above your referee's head if he's wrong. I think that's the thing that's happening right now, where I just feel like the TFF is holding their hand above Cüneyt Çakır's head, and I don't think they should be doing that. I'm not saying that he should be crucified and should be fired and stuff like that, but I think he should be held responsible. And not just behind closed doors, because it's possible that behind closed doors, he got reprimanded, because I don't think he got a match this weekend. But that's not enough. I think you need to make it a little bit more public, just to set a little bit of an example. You don't have to crucify him, like I said, but I think it needs to be made clear that the referees cannot just go and deliberately be picky about what they acknowledge and what they don't acknowledge. They can't just go and ignore stuff in a match. Anyway, that we already discussed last week. But Yakup and UMut, thank you both very much for joining me, and thank you for listening to Football Ala Turca. And next week we'll be back, of course, with our decade look back or whatever you want to call it. And of course, as the transfer window opens on the 4th, there's probably going to be plenty of stuff to talk about on that front too. So we'll be talking some transfer stuff in the coming weeks until the second half of the season starts again, and when we pick back up with matches, of course. So guys, thanks, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.